Rhett Palmer, the mayor of the airwaves, is ready to go.
Woo!
Talking to people you want to know. Face to face, one on one.
Get the story and have some fun.
With Rhett Palmer.
And now, the most trusted name in radio, Rhett Palmer, the mayor of the airwaves.
Ah, yes. It is I, the mayor of the airwaves. And on the line today, he's back again. He's Mike Vilardi, and I think he lives up near Ocala, and he's formerly with the IRS, a criminal investigator, which now his company will protect you if you have issues with the IRS, if you owe money to the IRS. That's right. He also ran for Congress as Donald Trump's congressman up, now where was that, when he was living down here or where?
Yeah, Palm Beach, right? Mar-a-Lago, that's correct.
All right.
Yes.
Great. Oh, I need a little more volume on you. So tell me about this. Now, I wanted to ask you something as a senior citizen, now that I'm 70 years of age. How old are you, by the way?
I am 63.
You were a youngster.
Yeah,
Okay, so I was told, I was told two things. One, I was said, they can't touch your Social Security check when you're retired. But somebody else said, yeah, the IRS can come in under certain situations and take like 25% of it if you owe a big debt or something. What's the truth?
The truth is they can. I'll tell you a story about
They
that.
can or cannot?
They can. Yes, they can.
Oh, brother.
Yes. When I met a guy, he was in his 70s, he was 76 years old, and they were taking half his Social Security, which they're not supposed to do, but they were. And I was able to get the Social Security restored, and we refiled his tax return because they filed what's called a substitute for return. And when they do that, they do it to make it very painful. So we wiped out his entire $147,000 tax debt and got him back a $17,000 refund.
You know, you got to be careful with the IRS. I sold my house a year and a half ago. A year later, start getting a bill for, I don't know, I think $46,000 or something. I forget what it was. And we had paid them, I think, $90-something thousand. So my guy had to go and prove that we'd paid off this, we owed the bank $97,000, what it was. It was paid off. Now I haven't heard boo from the IRS, but where did they get these confusion? How could they get confused that we only paid half of it off when, in fact, the title company, which is responsible legally, paid it off?
Well, I'll tell you how that happens. They have a computer system, so they go based on what's reported to them. So if something is different that's reported to them that's reported to you, you get what's called a correspondence audit. A correspondence audit is when they send you a letter and they say, look, we think you owe this amount of money, and they give you 30 days to respond and dispute it.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't respond to those letters, and some people don't because out of fear, but they always should, the IRS will make the assumption that they are totally right and then move to collection.
Well, it's just like right now, somebody I did some advertising for, and they decided that they had given us a 30-day notice, which they had not. So her credit card company or whatever said, if we don't respond within 10 days, they'll think we're not going to contest it, and so they're going to take that $850 out of our bank account or whatever it is, however we got paid. So what do you say about that?
Well, that's why with the IRS specifically, they'll give you 30 days and you got to respond. And if you don't respond, then it becomes more difficult to dispute it.
Okay, but because I haven't heard boo now, so I presume my financial guy, the guy that does my taxes, my CPA, he must have rectified it, because otherwise I'd be getting letters from the IRS, right?
Right. Yes, absolutely.
Because he's got legal, what do you call it?
Power of attorney.
Yeah, he's got that, but I still he gets a copy of every letter I get, and I get a copy of every letter he gets, right?
Right, exactly.
Okay, so if I'm not in the
Right,
loop, then it ain't happening. That's good.
right, exactly.
Okay, so what do you think about O.J. Simpson dying?
Well, I mean, O.J. Simpson, good riddance. What could you say? I mean, great football player, but what he did to those two people was horrible.
You know, everybody else, is like happy he's gone, blah blah blah. I guess, I guess I'm a wuss. I just worry, like, I worry for every soul. I don't want anybody to end up like that. How does somebody end up, and then he gets these other lawyers on his side. If it doesn't fit, you must acquit and all this other crap. And and why
Yeah.
would why would whole lot of black people throughout the United States be happy that he got off? Like, why would they
Well,
presume he's innocent because he's a black man? I don't understand. Because he's their hero? Because he's a
no, no. What happened was that whole incident took place right after the Rodney King beating in
oh,
L.A. So I think it was more redemption that the LAPD lost
it's
than
it's
anything
kind of like
else.
Barabbas. Barabbas got set free
Right,
when
right,
Jesus was the
right,
innocent one.
right, right, exactly. So it was the times I remember because on the job a couple of our agents went out and they felt there was a lot of people after Rodney King who the black community was very angry
Yeah,
watching those videos of him getting beaten.
as they should be.
Yeah, yeah, but you never see the videos before where the cops almost got killed chasing him. You know, and the whole lead up to it.
I understand they respond emotionally. I could see that.
Yeah,
You almost took my life. You almost took the life of my
right.
buddy here who's a cop. We finally
Hmm.
got you, and you just want to kick the guy and hit the guy. But you're also supposed to be. That's like me when there's arguing going on in the studio among people.
Right.
I join in the fray. Hey, wait. We got to calm down, and actually, let's say you and I disagree right now. I have this policy where dignity comes first. You as a
Right.
person are more important than me being confirmed that my ideas are correct, and
Right.
vice
That's a good
versa.
policy. Right.
Well, it is. It's the way the world should be, right, sir?
I agree 100%.
By the way, what's the title of your book?
The time of his coming, the final chapter. I just republished it. It'll be out on Amazon, and because one of my publishers actually went out of business. Great writers, though. They published this book, and they went out of business.
Why,
So,
I wonder.
well, because now with Amazon,
Excuse me.
you can self-publish virtually for free.
Yeah. Is that
So,
what you're doing now?
yeah, that's what I'm doing. Yes, I'm just waiting for them to approve it, and that'll happen in a day or two, and then it'll be up all over the place. But
Now, during
um,
COVID,
yes,
I had doctors on my show, and they're
hmm
getting a lot of heat for it now. But actually, Amazon, Facebook. Remember, they had the lady in front of Congress, saying she was told to subjugate the authority of doctors, saying that this wasn't right what they were saying and
hmm
stuff. Did you see that?
I did, I did,
What do
I
you
did.
think of that?
Well, look, we live in the end times, and we're seeing Satan preparing for to come to Earth as the Antichrist, and this whole thing with the shot is nothing more than to poison the people. I personally know two people that died shortly after getting the shot. One took the second dose of Pfizer on a Sunday night and never woke up Monday morning.
I have
The-
more than you.
okay,
I agree. I have at least 5 people took it, died.
took and died. And the second one was a very close friend of mine. He was my coach, my personal mentor, my wrestling coach, Bob Clement. Great guy.
Sorry.
And he took the booster. And
Oh
within a
boy.
week later got myocarditis and it killed him.
What is
So
myocarditis?
it's the heart inflammation where and that's one of the symptoms that people get from taking the shot. And listen, I got COVID. I had it for a month. It was bad. You got through it. But my son got fired because he worked for a hospital and he refused to take the shot. And God is good. They fired him and they wouldn't give him unemployment because this is in New York. So not only do
Ooh.
they fire you, they don't you get no unemployment compensation at all. And he found a job paying twice what he was making,
Did he
doing
go back?
something.
Did he go back and sue him later? I hope.
Yeah, it's very difficult to sue because the way they set it up, because they mandated it, so the state's not going to allow you to. He certainly called some attorneys,
Do you,
but it's
now,
very
are you a
difficult.
New Yorker too?
I was from New York, yes.
Okay, now I got to meet his father. I got to meet Cuomo Sr. when he was
Oh,
running
okay.
for governor years ago.
Yeah.
I didn't know nothing for politics, so I didn't care if he was Democrat, liberal, conservative.
Right.
I just liked the guy. Well, years
Right.
later, his son is the governor, and
Yes.
I'm not getting good reports. And of course, then we see the nipple rings.
Right.
I guess nipple rings are okay. I don't know, but anyway,
Yeah.
it's a telltale sign. This guy's weird. And then he gets on national TV and goes, when the numbers went down, he goes, God didn't do this. Prayer didn't do it. We did it. And I've been a
Wow.
Christian now 20. No, not 20. I've been on a radio show 29 years. I think I've been a Christian since 1983. How many years is that? Like 40 something years. Anyway,
Right.
I looked at him and immediately I said, "If I know my father, you've
Right.
just lost your governorship." Now, I pull back and go, "We'll see." Usually, I mean, and this is a faith builder because then within a short time, within 3 months, his own party went against him. You don't say that about the living God. God didn't do it. Prayer didn't do it. We
Right.
did it. Oh my God, Nebuchadnezzar.
That's a confirmation of something that happened to me the other day. I hear the Holy Ghost speaking to me loudly. I put kings in place. After Joe Biden put out on Easter Sunday that we should have Transgender Day, Transgender Visibility Day,
What crap.
that's it. I'm telling you right now, that man will not be president in 2025. God is going to remove him. That kind of hubris and arrogance brings destruction.
There's one thing. This sounds funny. I'm an expert on humility. I was interviewing Billy Graham, Dr. Graham. I told
Yeah.
God, if you don't give me him, then I don't believe you were in my life. Sure enough, I get to sit down with Dr. Billy. So I wanted to find out something. I wanted to find out what broke him. And he interrupted that, so I forgot and never got to ask him this. But I brought up, I said, I want to talk about humility. So he leans into me, just like you were just leaning in. He goes, well, Rhett, if we're talking about it, we haven't got it. Well, that shut me right down because it was a truth. But what I wanted to ask him was, that was to lead up to, I've always thought he was the humblest guy
Yeah.
in the universe. I met him, the most loving, humble human being I've ever met, and yet firm in his
Yeah.
faith. How can he be so gentle yet so strong? But it is written in Samuel, thy gentleness hath made thee great. It's written in Psalms, thy gentleness hath made me great. And that's why I don't like these guys on TV that scream. Jesus Jesus turned over the tables. Yeah, that was one time. I tell you, they said he says, I am lowly and what, humble?
Humble, right.
Yeah, I mean,
Spirit.
so I believe in gentleness, and I think that it even says that I don't know if you've ever been proudful. I sure have been proudful.
Yes.
And I read in the scriptures a few years ago where it says, a proud look is an abomination. Not just saying something proud or being proud, just a proud look. Like, you see somebody, you roll your eyes and go, sorry. I'm not better than that human being, even if they are saying something goofy, right?
My pride cost me $10 million.
There you go. Do you want to tell the story or no?
Yeah, I'll tell the story, sure.
Okay.
Back in the 90s, it was October 1994, I was trading the commodities market. And I was so convinced that the market was going to drop because at the time it was at an all-time high. And I was with two other Christians. And I thought to myself, we should really pray about this. But I didn't. I said, but I can't be wrong. I said, there's no way I could be wrong, right? It's the tides.
No way I could be wrong.
Right. Okay, so the Lord showed me after I lost my money going short the S&P.
Yeah.
From November of 1994 till March of 2000, it went straight up. Had I prayed about it and sought the Lord, and He would have told me it was going to go up and not down, I would have made $10 million.
Yeah.
Because in the commodity market, you could build. it's like putting down money. You put down $1,000, but you control $100,000 worth of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, straight up for over 5 years. That was the biggest mistake in my life, probably. Right.
Well, we all have regrets. And I have to say, you're 63, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know where I don't even know you. I know I like you. This is the second time you've been on this. No, this is instant. I like this. I like you. I know I like this guy. When you like somebody, you know you like him.
Yeah.
But I forgot what I was going to say. But that's okay. I'm 70. I get away with it.
Right.
Although I run into young people, the same thing
Right.
happens. I go, I'm so glad to see that happen to somebody
Right.
young, because we
Right.
blame it on age, but you don't pay attention to it maybe when you're younger.
Right.
But anyway, I don't know where I was going with that. But I want to talk about your book. Now, your book is, well, first of all, this is just crazy. You can hold up that book again. And the title of it is?
The Time of His Coming, the final chapter. You got to make sure you get the final chapter, because I have a couple of other books out there, but this is the one you want.
So,
and I'm publishing it on Amazon. It'll be available through Amazon.
Mike Vilardi, and your
Nick-
former
Nick's-
IRS criminal investigator, ran for
Correct.
Congress under Donald Trump's what do you call it, territory.
Yeah.
So did you ever get to meet the Donald or no?
No, he actually supported one of my opponents, but
Oh,
you know what? I think he liked me from what I heard from his people.
yeah.
I just didn't have the money to win, so
And he knew that.
and
So he
knew
went
that,
after the
yeah.
horse that he knew was going to win.
Yeah, because because that's public information. So, but I did beat 3 people solidly. I had the least amount of money in the race, but I was the best candidate according to the Republican Party, and I ran a good race. I just that without money, you can't get your message out.
Yeah.
And that's what's very tough. And what I did was I picked issues that nobody could really fight with me on. My biggest issue was Social Security, making it tax free like it should be.
Absolutely. You've already
Okay.
paid taxes on that money.
Exactly right. And here's another thing that people don't realize. FDR signed the Social Security Act on, let me remember this, August 14th of 1935. When he signed that act, there was 3 things that were in it that have been since changed by these communist Democrats that we have. The first thing was any money taken, you get a tax deduction for, so you wouldn't pay federal income tax on it. So, for instance, if you make $100,000 and they take out $10,000 for Medicare and Social Security tax, you're supposed to get a deduction for that. Well, currently you don't. Nancy Pelosi had that changed.
That's
So now
crazy.
you're getting double tax. Yeah, and people don't realize it. So that was one of the issues I made public. The second thing was that you're supposed to receive it tax free. Right? I mean that's really,
Moronic.
well, right. So now they tax your benefit up to 85%. And the third thing that I was going to throw in there was a spousal benefit for at least 18 months. And the reason for that is these widows are coming home from the funeral of their husbands and getting a letter from the Social Security office saying you no longer be getting your husband's Social Security. And that leaves them in a terrible financial position. They don't have the time to recover and get their affairs in order. So
They're very vulnerable emotionally at this point.
absolutely
Depression. I don't want to get up. I don't want to call the IRS. I'm not going to call anybody. I just can't. We've all been there, right? If you're over
Right, all
50,
been
you've experienced grief.
Right. So there was nobody that could argue with my issues, whether you're Democrat or Republican.
Yeah.
Right. Even the most liberal Democrat had to agree with me, and the most conservative Republican had to agree. So by using issues like that, except that I couldn't get the message out because I didn't have the money for it, anybody that met me or talked to me would voted for me or would support me.
So do we have an advocate today? We need to get these things straightened out. Is there any, first of all, you said about the money. I had an idea. I have a plan. It's not a very concrete plan, but I think it can be done. Okay, so everybody puts an extra $10 in. They pay the IRS annually, and that $10 goes into a fund. Now, if you add up how many people are paying taxes, you're talking it ends up being billions.
Mm.
So you get up to the top. I don't know how that all happens, but you get up. You're running. There's a Democrat, a Republican, maybe there's a third party, but each one gets $1 billion or whatever the right price would be at that time. It could be 10 billion, 40 years from now. Right now, $1 billion each to run for the campaign. When that's gone, it's gone. And if you're a congressman, you're going to get, $400,000 or 400, maybe I don't know, 10 million, whatever it is, and you have a certain amount for senators, for congressmen, blah blah blah, and that's what you get to spend, and nobody gets to put money in your back pocket. Now the only thing is, because I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer. Am I thwarting capitalism? Am I thwarting capitalism by suggesting such a thing? Because maybe should I be able to buy influence? Like there's a guy running for sheriff in this county. Last time he got $400,000. This time he's got, I think, under 200,000. The other guy running against him is the first African American to run in our county. He's got over $300,000 in his, I asked him. I said, why do people give you money? I never gave candidates money.
Right.
And he says, because they're buying entree, influence, or whatever. I mean, I know a guy like you. He was in town here, came with $1,500, started a company, sells it to municipalities throughout the United States. And if the guy's listening in Fort Pierce, this is not you. That's another story with him. That's another story. There's another guy up here. But anyway, so he's got like 800 million to $1 billion, and he'll go like, I remember the last time somebody was running for the governorship. Well, there were two Republicans. So he gave 200 grand to this one, or $250,000 to this one, gave $250,000 to that one. Then the one that finally got in, then he supports that guy, And I wonder, do the wealthy feel obligated to, I don't think this guy is a really good human being. That's why God blessed him with abundance. But I mean, unless he's buying influence for some reason, I don't know how the whole thing works. I'm a common Joe. You probably know a whole lot more than I do.
Well, yeah. See, the issue you're talking about is here's the problem with politics that I found from running.
Yeah.
There are people like myself who want to do the right thing and help people. Then there's people who are doing it like Joe Biden, who just want the corruption factor, okay, to make themselves wealthy. So if you put it out there, hey, we're going to give you $300,000 to run, some of those people are going to come in, abuse that $300,000 with no intent to win, and just have a party. There was one guy in our race who would seduce women and then take their money. So this one woman had 20,000 put aside for an operation. He took it, went to CPAC, blew all the money, and left her. Okay, and he was running on the Republican ticket. There's people like that, and that's what you have to contend with. And it makes it very difficult. I mean, I lost my race to Laura Loomer, who had millions of dollars, but was not qualified. In my opinion, she wasn't qualified. And she took my issues and tried to run on my issues because I had the best issues.
Well, that was smart.
Yeah, but she didn't understand them properly. And so when she put out the ad, she looked stupid because she never called me. She never asked me about them. She never asked why and how. And so, so she ended up losing the general. But the point is, there are too many corrupt people that want to get into Congress. And if you look at the Congress people we have, you could see that. And that's a problem.
I have video where Biden is saying that he has 3 degrees. He was at the top of his class. Sam Donaldson approaches him.
Right. Yes.
And in 1988, he had to jump out of the presidential race because Sam Donaldson, who's a left-wing, famous, TV guy, news guy, and says, but it shows here that you only have 1 degree. Oh, well, I forgot. And you weren't in the top of your class. You were in the bottom of your class.
Yes.
I must have forgot that, too. The guy is his conscience is so seared that he actually puts on this front. And he's so used to doing it that anybody who's these good-hearted far left-wingers, they really trust this guy. And then, of course, they ask us why we're behind Trump, which I can understand. If you're not a Republican like we are, and you don't see the other side, I can understand why people go, how in the world can you vote for that creep with a big mouth? Yes, Donald Trump has a big mouth. He says when he said the thing about grabbing women, and when he mocked that guy with the thing, that's horrible. A guy like that part of him should never be president. But we have a non-political guy in office who got this economy rocking and rolling like never before. If it hadn't been for COVID, you have to you have to wonder if that was planned, because what he was doing he was knocking China for a loop financially. So what do? This COVID comes in and knocks him off the chart.
Well, the bird flu is coming.
Oh,
Okay, this is going to be worse than the other one. This is planned again.
So eat your chicken now?
It's already started in Texas because they can't win if they know that Joe Biden can't win an election. No, okay, because Joe Biden is so corrupt. Look, he graduated 76 out of 85 people from Syracuse Law School.
My dad went to Syracuse. He went to Syracuse?
He went to Syracuse, yes. Here's what it means. If every student took a minute to get their diploma, Joe Biden would have waited an hour and 15 minutes before he got his. And after he got up and got his, the ceremony was over less than 10 minutes later. That's what it means. Put it in perspective. Okay. He was foolish enough to copy a speech by Neil Kinnock, who was the prime minister in England.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you copy someone's life story? That's like me saying, hey, I was born the same day Brett was, and I'm going to give you his life story and say it's mine.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, it's not Brett, it's Rhett.
Rhett, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay.
When you come down, lunch is on you.
Oh, you got it. You got it. Every now and then I visit Rosemary.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. Please. We really heard if I found out you came to town, didn't look me up,
Yeah, I know. I tried to get in touch with you last time. We kept missing each other.
Okay. Well, let's make that. Continue with your story.
Okay. So Joe Biden is totally corrupt.
Yeah.
He even said he put together the greatest voter fraud, he put the greatest voter fraud consortium since Barack Obama. Well, of course, he told you he cheated before the election in October of 2020. You could go look it up and get the clip. And unfortunately, like I told you, mark my words, because I know the Lord, I know the Spirit of God, this guy's not going to be in office in 2025. You cannot mock God like that. I hope you're right.
I was right about Cuomo, but he was rather blatant. This other guy, though, he's anti-life. How can you claim you're a Catholic and then on Easter to proclaim? It just happened to be a coincidence, I mean, they didn't plan it that way. They're just kind of goofy dumb. But this thing of promoting a look at, if you're gay, folks, I love people. If you're gay, I love you, and I speak from my Father in heaven. If you're gay, I love you. I don't love your sin. Right. Just like me, maybe you don't like it if I were to rob a bank. It's a sin. Okay. And I shouldn't be in a leadership position. And you being a homosexual or lesbian, I love you. I love you. I love you. And I can tell you this. I was living on the street at 14 in a rooming house. If a gay couple had come along then, male or female, and said, little Rhett, we're going to adopt you. Really? Nobody, this is a little pet peeve I have. Not one man, no uncle, no great uncle, no grandfather, nobody stepped up when my father was killed in a car accident. For my whole life, I never had a father figure. So, it's just people should step in and they should do something. You know what I'm saying, Mike?
I do. See, I tell people I'm in love with a man, and his name is Jesus.
Yes. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. The point is, now, I don't know if you know this, you could look this up.
Yes, sir.
The very day that the Pope signed, it was December 20th of last year, on his birthday, he signed a decree saying that they could bless homosexual marriages. Lightning struck St. Peter in Buenos Aires, knocked out the halo that was behind him, destroyed his right hand, which in his right hand he had the keys, because the Bible says Peter has the keys to it. So God sent a very strong message that that's not to be blessed. What God calls an abomination, you can't bless. No. And I know we don't have that much time, but what I did want to talk about was the two types of saints. I gave this speech in Pakistan for Christmas. Jesus tells us there'll be two in the bed, one will be taken, one will be left. There'll be two in the field, one will be taken, one will be left. And there's not much that's really taught about that, you know. But the ones that are taken are the Christians found in Revelation 3:10. Those are the overcoming Christians. And their job is to preach the gospel. Revelation 14:6 during the tribulation period. Now, the tribulation period, that period is for the saints. The ones that are left, right, go before kings and judges and testify about Jesus Christ. They're persecuted. They're martyred, right? Those are the saints that you see in the fifth seal.
Why did they
Right.
get left behind?
Okay, well, I'm glad you asked that. And the reason they got left behind
Yeah.
was because there's doctrine. And you see this, there's certain churches that are actually blessing homosexual unions where you can go to church and get married in church as a homosexual. Well, what does God think about that?
Well, he destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. But that is why I said when I was a kid, I want people to know I love people. And like I said, if a gay couple had adopted me when I was 14, living on the street alone without any parental intervention my whole life, I mean, I would have loved to be loved. But I still would say that homosexuality is a sin, just like if divorce is a sin. I mean, the thing is, you got all these arrogant people in churches. You got some pastor that's been married 3 times. It's a mockery. You got some other guy who's an elder. You got some guy sitting next to you. You're judging this guy for homosexuality, and yet I saw you had an affair behind your wife last year. So everybody needs to know, we're called to love everybody. And then, you know what I'm saying? I don't think, well, go ahead. I'm blah, blah, blah on here.
No, what you hit on is what you asked me why people left behind. The reason is that
Yeah.
they
were
the
involved in
grace-
sin?
Huh?
They were involved in sin?
They're involved in sin, exactly. And so you got to be careful with how you take the grace of God. The grace of God is not a license to sin. Okay. I could tell you stories about people that make me really straighten up, and live holy, because one guy in particular who was an international evangelist, I actually went with him to Europe in 2007 in Switzerland. The whole church fell out. The power of God moved. 2009, I get a call from his wife. He disappeared, ends up in a crack house.
Oh, boy.
Right, back to drugs. And since then, he brags about how many women he slept with and drinking and drugging. And I tried to correct him. He threatened me because it was like, wow. Because we have free will. And he made a comment to me, well, I just need more of the grace of God. And I'm like, no, that's not how it works. You're not.
Well, I don't know. I wrestle with this all the time because there's a guy on the street here, Joseph. He's a black man who had 90 employees. He stopped doing it. He's got a big, long beard, big hair. He's got a wife. They have 4 little babies living in an RV. Somebody in town. He stands on the street corner with these signs, repent now. And he gets a lot of honks. He also gets a lot of fingers, But, he thinks that once saved, you're not always saved. But I talked to my friend Beth the other day, and she knows the Bible inside and out. She says, no, if you're truly born again, she says, I believe you're sealed in the Spirit. I do believe you're saved. And it does say that. It says your works will not go through the fire, but you will be saved. So I think it's like, do you have are you a dad?
Yes.
Oh, you are. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have a son?
Yes, I do.
Okay. He goes out and murders 10 people.
Yeah.
Is he still your son?
Of course.
You going to go visit him in jail?
Of course. Right.
If you, being of flesh and blood, can love your son that much, when Jesus made it very clear to me, Rhett, you did not choose me, I chose you. He says that to each of us. You did not choose me, I chose you. So what's really cool is I'm adopted into the Jewish family, essentially.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I've been picked, and once I've been sealed. If otherwise I could say, well, I didn't give the change back at the grocery store the other day when she gave me an extra $10 bill. Oh, I'm on my way to hell. Where does it begin and end?
But let me just say this: I actually met a person when I was in college who became a Christian, a born again Christian, and went back to the Catholic faith. Yeah. And Paul tells us once we've tasted, right, and then we go back, there's nothing left for us.
Now hold on a second. Now. There's a lot of born again Catholics. They don't know they're born again, but they're sitting in the pew. They know Jesus. and there's a lot of people going there. They're doing the perfunctory and the the parades and all that stuff, the pageantry. And they don't know Jesus. So, I mean, just let's say I pray to what is it? You lose something, and they pray to one of those saints. And I'm betting odds you were brought up Catholic, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and so I can understand your anger that I used to go with my grandmother, and then, what are they saying, Grandma? I don't know, and they
Yeah.
kept the Bible from us. Okay, but there's look at was it Bishop Sheehan? Who's that guy? He's dead now, but he gave these great speeches.
Yes, yes, yes.
I
know
love
you're
him.
talking about.
I love,
Yes.
and I tell you what, there is an anointing on many Catholic priests, and people go,
Yes.
"Oh, the homosexuals and the children." Wait, 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 wait. There's millions and millions of priests, so a
Right.
small percentage. They're not all homosexuals. Just like I've run into a rabbi. There was a rabbi arrested down here for messing with a kid. I mean, there's
Right.
weirdos and everything. You can't paint with a wide brush. So I believe. You can be. I mean, I believe you see kind of like I know. I used to be in that group that thought, all the Catholics are going to hell. Well, no, I don't think so, and I don't think. Okay, you want to know what happened last summer? I'll share this. I know I shouldn't, but we'll just figure the people that are watching now, let it be. So I go up to a Catholic church because I go to the community church up in Stowe, Vermont. And the
Right.
guy's got the rainbow stuff around his neck. And it's like they sit there for an hour and think they've gone to church, Nice guy, but it's not church. I go to I go to the one little Catholic, small little log cabin place, and but there's reverence. Ave Maria,
Right.
which I miss sometimes because I go to a born again church here, non-denominational. They're all over the place with confetti and balloons and dancing and everything. And sometimes you want respect. Well, anyway, so the priest says, first time there, and this little, he's a black priest from black skin from India. And he's up there, what all of this? Now, you come forward. Now, we're going along. The whole thing's, we're 40
Right.
minutes in. I'm feeling connected to all these strangers because we're all in this together in Mass. And he says, well, if you're not a practicing Christian, you can't have the body and blood of Christ.
Okay.
So you know what I did? And when I was younger, I would have been a rebel. I would have gone up anyway. I said, no, he's an authority. So next week I go back, and he's getting close to giving the body and blood of Christ. Now, this is between you and I, and whoever happens to be listening now. I'm on my knees, and I have a vision. Up on the altar, I see Jesus with his hands spread wide apart, with the wounds in his hands, and he's saying, I open up my eyes and say, you're inviting me? I don't care what the priest says. I'm going forward.
Right.
And
Right.
so in other words, whether you're dunked or you're sprinkled, whether you're the guy on the cross next to Jesus who didn't have a chance to be baptized, who didn't have a chance
Right.
to proclaim Jesus,
Right. Of course.
he says you're going to go to paradise. So I understand where you're at, but I think there's a lot of Catholics that are going to go to heaven, as well as a lot of people out here at the non-denominational who think they're saved and aren't really saved. Because, like you said, they're out fornicating or they're lying with a business deal.
I think the most important thing is to love God and love others, like
Yes.
Jesus said.
Yes.
Love is the key. Paul said, "Love will overshadow a multitude of sins." If you live your life in love for other people, that is the ticket. After you, of course, accepted Him and you're filled with the Holy Ghost, because Jesus said you have to be born again. Your spirit, you have to know the Spirit of God.
Okay, you get to play God for a second. Now
Mm.
you're an IRS guy, so
Yes.
you meet me, and I know everything you know with the IRS. I'm very smart. I wrote a book like you. I got all down. I got everything perfectly in line, the same as you. But I'm not really good relationally. On the other hand, now I'm Rhett Palmer, the goofy talk host, but we like each other. We're friends. Who
Right.
do you want to be with for eternity? You want to be with, so God wants relationship. It's
Right,
all
exactly.
about relationship. Because you
All
and
about
I both know wealthy people that get a bunch of money and they got this thing around
Right.
these walls and they go, why am I so unhappy? Because you stopped. I have a friend of mine. He sold his
Right.
business for nearly $1 billion. True story. I'm
Yes.
riding in the car. I said, how much did you get for that business? And now, and man talk, if I ask you and you don't say
Right.
anything, then I'm allowed to ask. I said, 100 million. He gives me the thumb. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I said, I don't even want to know. And so he says, well, Rhett, if it's any consolation, the day that I sold it, I was very depressed. So I'm chewing on this for a couple of months. Of course he was depressed because, listen, I go in every day. I sell my business for $1 billion. I'm used to
Right.
going in and seeing Betty Sue. She's the receptionist. Hi,
Right.
Betty. How you doing? How's your son? How's your husband? Okay, hey, how you doing, John? How you doing? I got relationship with all these people. Now all of a sudden, Rhett sells the business. I got my $1 billion check. I got a number in a bank account, a lonely, cold ink number, and I've lost all my relationships. Of
Right.
course, I'm
It's
going to
true.
be depressed because, folks, it ain't about the money. Money's a great tool. Like you said,
It's a
I wish
tool.
you had
Right.
had it when you ran for office.
Me too.
You could have made a difference.
And tell your friend if he gives me $2 million, I could run again because that's what it takes to win a congressional race.
Where are you going to run? Oh, in Florida?
I'd run here in Ocala. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, how do we? I'd help you in any way I could. I think we need to really get some people moving. Obviously, I think you got to be careful when we fall asleep.
Yeah.
We fell asleep. I've been fat and happy. And one thing I've learned, I'm working on a book called "We Only Grow in the Valleys,"
Mm-hmm.
and I went through, I lost a relationship. I lost my mom. I lost my brother. I lost my dad. My stepdad. Everybody's gone. Grandmas, grandpas. And I'm
Right.
here
Yeah.
all alone. And I have to say, I take comfort in the fact that Jesus was a man acquainted with many sorrows. It's also written, in case you're going through some stuff out there, folks, Jesus learned obedience by the things which he suffered. I'm a better friend to a guy like you, Mike, today. I'm a better person, a better man to even the stranger or the hobo or the billionaire, whatever it may be, because God has reduced me. And that reduction, just like with a good gravy, right?
Right.
You want a
Right.
good gravy? You got to reduce it.
Right. Well, I gotta go soon, but
I
could
know.
we do this again?
Do it again. Let's do it ASAP again soon. I love talking with you. The only thing is, next time we do a show, I don't want to talk political because that doesn't go on the Christian station, but I'm on that 100,000 watt station. I can't put this interview on that. This is on YouTube and all that other stuff and streamed and stuff and on Rhett Palmer podcast. But I want to be able to do one that's focused in on the Lord. And okay, so we'll do an hour because that has to be an hour long down there for that.
Yes.
Okay.
No, that's what that's what I want because I want Christians to understand God's plan and that when the rapture happens, his judgment doesn't come right away. Matter of fact, he tells us, and this will be the last thing I guess I'll say.
Okay.
In Revelation 12, he says the woman fled into a wilderness where she had a place prepared to be nourished there for 1,260 days. That's 1,200. That's 3.5 years when the raptured saints are preaching the gospel. Everybody hears it, and the tribulation saints are the ones teaching the ones that hear it about Christ. And everybody hears the word of God during that time. And then Daniel's 70th week happens. And that's an important distinction. When people understand that, it's easy to understand what's going to happen when. And that's what my book is about. Because otherwise, there's a lot of confusion.
Hold up the book again.
Yes.
And the title of it is The Time of His
Coming.
Coming.
Yeah, the final chapter. And that's the book. And it's coming out Amazon. You'll be able to get it. I just republished it because my publisher went out of business, but you could get it. And it's a good book, and it's going to be a movie one day. I'm working on that.
When you come down here, why don't you come in here and sit, and we'll have a nice, intimate conversation about your belief in Jesus.
I will.
Okay.
Let's try and do that in the next couple of weeks.
All right. All right, Michael. God bless and be with you.
God bless you.
Have a good day, all right?
All right. Appreciate you. Thank you very
You too,
much.
Michael. Thank you very much. God bless.